Hey, 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 good afternoon, boys and girls. This is Billy P coming to you from the greatest country on the planet, the United States of America. And I am here visiting and doing some things to finalize and finish up what I needed to do here in the U.S. to get back home to my family in the Philippines. You guys know that I live abroad now. You know I'm retired there. First of all, let me give a shout out to all of my subscribers. I want to say thank you for sticking around. And if you're new to this channel, please, if you like the content that I've been sharing, or if you want to check out some of my earlier videos, please go back and check them out. But I really appreciate it if you guys hit that like and subscribe button. I'm not quite sure if it's in that corner, this corner, or down below, but just hit that like and subscribe button and stay up to date with what I'm doing and you know, some of the information that I'm bringing to you as a retiree living in the Philippines. I also want to give a shout out to my subscribers who's been here, you know, since day one, not only on my music, but on my clothing line. Those links, of course, you can find at the bottom here in this video. Today's video, I'm going to chat a little bit about the ACR card, the conversion going from probationary, which is 1 year, to a full permanent 5 year, every year kind of a scenario once you've done your probationary stay here there in the Philippines. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about my wife's green card, because we're still going through that process as well. So to kick that off, and to let you guys know, I never take your subscriptions or your patronage here on my page for granted. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. So with that being said, let me just share this with you. So right now, I am in the U.S. As I said, I had to come here to finalize a couple other things here in the U.S. To complete everything, my move, all of my financial affairs, all of the rest of my furniture, clothing, things like that, transferring it back to the Philippines for good. And in light of that, I'm also working on now converting my ACR 13A visa over into a permanent 13A visa, which becomes a permanent visa for me. And what that means is, instead of the 1 year probationary scenario now, that green card, once and if I get approved, is now and will become 5 years. So every 5 years, I will have to go back to Manila and pay a fee. I think that fee is like 300 pesos to keep my ACR card intact. And before I get that started, I want to show you guys, there's two different types, and there's just a regular 9A visa. I'm going to show you that one. Okay, that's the 9A visa ACR card, which is what I had for the longest time. And you know, every other month or every 6 months, however months it was that I would extend it, I would have to go back and renew it again. Well, I got tired of doing that and heard about the 13A visa, which is what we got a little over a year ago now. And this is what that card looks like, okay? That's the 13A visa card. And that card allowed me to be on probation for a year in the Philippines without having to go back every month to renew, you know, the 9A scenario. The 13A visa cost me a little over, I think, 14,000 pesos. And if you do the math, you can find out what that is in US dollars. It's not very much. And but that card did and has allowed me to stay in the Philippines without having to renew every month or every 6 months, you know, like I was doing before. And it saved us a lot of money, and I'm really thankful and grateful to the Philippines for allowing me to do that. But I do want to share and be honest with you. Going through this process is not easy. It's somewhat difficult at times because there's so many documents, there's so many back and forth, there's so many documented, notarized pieces of paper that you have to have. You know, whether you're married in the U.S. or whether you're married in the Philippines, you're gonna have to go through this process in order to become a permanent resident there in the Philippines. The journey for this has been, you know, like I said, it's been kind of hectic because unless you hire an attorney or you know, some type of organization to do this, you're pretty much doing this on your own. And the instructions aren't hard. You just have to know where to, you know, dot your I's and cross your T's And of course, we made some mistakes along the way, but after 3 times, and I discussed this in earlier videos, but after 3 times, I finally got my 13A probationary 13A visa. I tried once in Cebu, and the last 2 times were in Manila, and the 3rd time I actually finally got it, and we were very, very excited about that. At some point in time, I'm gonna start doing some type of consultation to where I can hopefully help a lot of you foreigners that are coming to the Philippines, help you go through this process, because it can be expensive if you don't know who to talk to, where to go, and or who to hire if you're planning on hiring somebody to do this for you. But I want to stress this: you can do this yourself, and it will save you a lot of money. However, you may have to deal with a few headaches along the way in lieu of the documents and the documentation that you're going to need to do this. My probationary period here is up in late October. So I'm headed back to the Philippines. I'm scheduling my appointment a good month in advance. I'll probably do that sometime today, to where I'll arrive in the Philippines somewhere at the end of September, and go to the immigration office in Manila with all of the pretty much same documents that I filed for the original 13A visa, which was this one. Okay. I'll go back there and I'll file the same documentation along with a couple of other extra pieces that they've added to it now. I'll share that in another video, but for right now, I'm just going to talk about, like I said, I'm going back to Manila to finalize and convert my 13A visa over into the permanent 5-year visa now. And like I said, that visa becomes 300 pesos every 5 years. Okay. One of the things I think you should always and should keep in mind is that you need to plan ahead. For some reasons, pre and pro COVID now, everywhere I go, you almost have to make an appointment to get into to these government offices to do anything. I will stress this: if you're married in and or outside of the Philippines, you're going to want to have one piece of paper or 2 pieces of paper, documents that I know are very important. One of those being your report of marriage. Whatever consulate you filed it in here in the U.S., you're going to need that document. Or your Filipino or your Philippines statistical document if you got married in the Philippines. You're going to need one or both of those documents when you go to file for this 13A visa. I'm sure there's a lot of videos on the internet right now on YouTube here that explains how to go about getting your probationary 13A visa. And just now, as of late, I'm noticing there's a lot of conversion videos where people like myself are going through the process of getting that permanent resident visa. The only thing that I can share in regards to the downside of that is that, as I said earlier, plan ahead, because if you don't, you're gonna find yourself spending a lot of money for unnecessary things. And I'm just gonna say it: things like flights. If you don't live in Manila, things like flights, taxis, food, hotels, photocopies, things like that. You're gonna want to make sure that you get online and do a lot of research, or send guys like me messages so I can enhance and or help you not make the same mistakes that I've made going through this process. I think my wife and I now have it pretty down pat. We know what to expect. We know the process, and I anticipate probably being in Manila for about 5 days to get this done. I'm going to give myself at least 2 days. Once I arrive there, 2 days to just rest and make sure that I got all my documents in order in these files, because they're very strict about your documents being in order. As long as you follow the checklist that they've got on the website, you should be okay. And speaking of websites, let me just say this. Sometimes you will find that the Philippines website is not totally up to date. So you have to do a lot of digging on these documents. If If it's not updated, would say within a year, if you look up in the corner and it shows like a 2019 version or something like that or earlier, you may want to go outside and start digging a little bit more, because it takes them a while to kind of update their stuff. And they've just came online now, or they just announced here recently that they've got an online process where you guys that are just coming to visit, you can extend your 9A visas now online. That's a cool thing. I wish they'd have had that when I was doing all of this craziness, because I was having to file for my 9A here in the visa in the U.S. and it gets kind of hectic because you're having to let go of your passport, and you don't know if you're ever going to get that passport back. But luckily for me, and I'm probably luckily for a lot of the other guys that have done this process, the passport does come back. You get your passport stamped, and then you're able to travel into the Philippines with no issues. I'm going to have to keep you guys up to date with this ACR process. As I said, my interview is scheduled for October. And I'll be back in the Philippines probably by no later than the end of September here this year. And I'm going to go get that done, and I'm going to follow up with you guys so I can bring you up to date with what took place and how that went. The other thing is as many of you know, I've also been working on a green card for my wife. We have a daughter. She's almost 2 now. Thank you, Lord. And we were working on her green card, and we've planned and did everything that we were supposed to do. The appointment was scheduled for June the 27th, which we flew there and did all of that, went through the whole process. And there were 2 things that held us up from that. One, neither one of us, my wife or I, and probably never will, be vaccinated in regards to COVID. Yes, I'm going to say it just like that. Never. And that was the one thing that held us up. So when we were there and while we were there, we were told that my wife would have to go and get what's called a spunctum test. And I've noticed that a lot of people on YouTube have had to go through the same process. And what that is, it's a tuberculosis test. For some reason, the Philippine government and the U.S., they want to make sure that, I guess, you have no diseases or anything weird like that, in your bodies. To acquire or to get this green card. So that's what we're doing now. We're scheduled to be in Manila here in the next couple of weeks to go back to that very same process. She's done her physical. She's gotten all the approvals on her physicals. Now we just have to go back and do the spunctum test. And that can take anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. I'm just being honest with you. And after that, and only after that, once that's been cleared, can we then go back and finalize our interview with the U.S. Embassy. So I'm hoping and praying that that green card process will be finalized and over with by the end of October of this year. And at that point in time, it'll be nice because my wife will have an official green card that will allow her to travel to the U.S. with me. Our daughter is already a dual citizenship because she was born in the Philippines. However, the fact that I'm her father makes her it's given that she's a U.S. citizen as well. So we've got 2 passports for her, one for the U.S. and one for the Philippines. But again, as I said about the 13A visa in my situation, the green card is just as hectic if you don't know what you're doing. And there's a lot of people online trying to sell their services and helping you get these 2 items, I guess you could say. You just have to be very careful about who you hire, who you think you're hiring. Do a lot of research before you do that. And I can only tell you that this can be done. You can do this on your own. You don't really need these companies to do this. However, they do all the leg work for you. Sorry about the sirens. That's normal here in the U.S. But they do all of the legwork for you. They do all the copying for you, all the notarizing stuff for you. And they try and make it as easy for you as possible. However, you will end up paying a fee. And the different companies, as far as the fees go, they all vary. So use your discretion when you're planning on doing that. I'm excited to get this over with, though, because we've been going through this process for the last 3 years now, 3.5 years now, and because of, just because of time, schedules, making appointments with the Philippines, making appointments with the U.S. I mean, it's amazing what people go through in order to do something that's so simple. I want to touch on this as well. One of the things about my country here in the U.S., and I say this with a heavy bitterness in some regards, I don't understand how and why it is that we can allow people to cross my border or our borders here in the U.S. for free and remain in this country with no legalities, and I'm talking about the illegal immigration scenario that we have in this country right now. Why am I, as an American, having to go through this process to get my wife a green card, and I'm having to pay for that, and we've got people coming across our borders for free, literally for free. I know that there's some of you out there that are probably going to hate me saying that, but there's some of you out there like me. I want to know why the hell that is. Why can't I bring my wife to my own country? I'm an upstanding citizen. I pay taxes all my life. Why am I having to go through this ridiculous process to bring my wife into my country? Think about that. Let that sink in, okay? Again, I won't beat that up, but there's something not right about that, and we as Americans need to stand up and say enough's enough. I was just in New York recently, and I used to love going to New York, but I can honestly say now New York is a dump. It's gotten so bad now that I probably never will go back, and I'm sure New York's not going to miss me for saying that, but it's a dump. New York is nowhere near what it used to be in regards to just a beautiful city with beautiful people. It's overran, and the state of New York, city of New York, they can't handle it. They can't handle the influx of people that are there illegally and living on the very people that are working every day there. So I'm going to leave that note right there. And again, I can only ask you guys to like and subscribe to my channel. Stay up to date with what I'm doing. You guys know I play music. You guys know I got a lot of other things going on. And I'm going to put those links, my music site down in the bottom of this page, and I'm going to put my clothing line down at the bottom of this page. You guys hit that like and subscribe button. Stay with me. I'll bring you guys up to date within the next couple of weeks as to where I am, what I'm doing, and how it's going, okay? So with that being said, here from the United States of America, peace. I wish you all well. And shout out to all my good people back in the U.S. Stay strong, stay up. Peace. Take care.